Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jack, the Generalist. Welcome back to the Generalist podcast. Today, I have Sjors. Please introduce yourself to people who don't know you.
Hello, yeah, thank you so much for having me. And my name is Sjors de Laat. I currently live in the Netherlands, and I'm currently working as a senior VFX artist at Tuatara Games. I've been there for almost 5 years now.
Cool.
Yeah, at Tuatara, we basically work on all different types of projects, and currently I've been on working on Fortnite for about 4 out of the 5 years I've been there.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome. All
yeah,
right, so walk us through your journey. You work at Tuatara, right? Like an outsourcing, would you say? Outsourcing studio. So you
yeah,
probably are working on a lot of projects and as well as like a common, steady projects like Fortnite, right? But
yeah.
walk us through your journey. How did you get into the world of visual effects? And, let us know about you.
Yeah. So essentially, kind of started with a friend showing me Photoshop about when I was like around 12.
So cool.
And yeah, from then on was basically the case. I sort of went into, I'm not sure if like signatures are still like a popular thing on when you go on forums and make like these little like artworks that you post at the bottom of your how it's called. I think just your signature. And from then on, I got really interested into like advertisements.
Oh,
Basically, making stuff for that was like very multidisciplinary in that sense, because you
cool.
already could sort of like they were already combining like the very early versions of Cinema 4D, especially to make abstract stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like 3ds Max. So kind of evolved into that. So all of these mixed media things where you could, for example, take sketch work and stuff like that. And then eventually that evolved into like got an interest in matte painting, and then
Oh, wow. You're the first visual effects artist that is actually was interested in matte painting. That's awesome.
there was at first because I think at the time when Noman I think sold DVDs still.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who it was, but I was like a big fan of his work, and that was kind of the way I was like, I'm going to do this. But
So cool.
yeah, it's like there's so many amazing things.
Just to explain matte painting for those who don't know, those old. It started with like those old films, right, where they usually put like a glass in front of the camera and they literally painted the scene. That was CGI back in the day.
Yes, yeah. It could basically also sort of be seen as a like a set extension, if you will. If for example you're standing on you maybe have like a close by shot that is like a set fully built, and maybe the rest is green screen, where you maybe look over the edge of a cliff that it may be very deep. Like instead of maybe having to like build this out all in 3D, you can basically base it off mostly photographs and then like essentially make it so that it really integrates well within in the rest of the scene. Maybe you have some like effects on there, maybe some birds in the background, but it's a lot faster than having to basically build from scratch.
Yeah, and it also evolved like from actual painting, right? It became more of a knowledge in 3D these days, right? It changed.
Yeah, exactly. And at first I was in a you basically have sort of like a tiered system in sort of education. I did it's called MBO first, basically. And that was more
That's in
sort
the
of
Netherlands,
general.
right?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. So like a tiered system in universities, and in this case it was MBO first for like basically for game art, like generally. From there, it was basically the case. Like this is sort of like like a job, so to speak. Where you can basically do everything, and I was like kind of still figuring that out.
Like a generalist in game art, would you say, basically?
Well, it's quickly sort of evolved into that I wanted to do environment art / prop art
Cool.
first,
Yeah.
but then I also interned for like a couple of times with some small with like a small company and with Vertigo back
Cool.
in the day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, I went to another education. So that like the first one was 4 years, and then another 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that was for HBO, not the
Not the channel.
not the channel, but sort of the level it's called.
Yeah.
And there was called the Boas in Breda.
Breda. Shout out.
Yeah. Hi guys, if you're watching.
Yeah.
So did that for 4 years, and like eventually it was the case that during our time we sort of evolved our program to a point where we basically only did group projects.
Wow. That's so awesome. But only with students, right? You're not. There's no industry like expert coming and working with you guys, right?
So it was basically the case that you sometimes had like general open days where people from the industry would come to check their projects out, essentially, and that's and that's currently also still the case.
Yeah.
But essentially, it was basically the whole, it was essentially the whole year. Essentially, you had all these different disciplines, and they all worked together on all these different types of projects together, and that could be maybe teams of just a couple of people, but we also had like group project that was at least over 40 of them.
Wow.
So very, very varied in that sense.
Have it ever happened that these projects will become like a commercial success at one point? Will catch like steam from the industry?
Yeah, there was. I'm so sad I forgot the name, but it was a very successful Kinect game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where you basically had to sort of stand in front of the Kinect and basically form platforms with your own body.
Cool. Wow, that's smart.
Yeah, I forgot the name, but it was like a really cool project, and I think there was, at least when I was there, was definitely like the like one of the highlights. From the success stories, and like Twirlbound with Pine, for example, also is also doing really, really good.
What do you remember your role was on those projects? Like, were you always interested in visual effects, or did you develop that a bit later?
Yeah, so it was a bit of everything. I literally did like so many things there,
janitor,
but it was
if you may.
Yeah, literally that. Yeah, it was really fun to just be more like the support role on the project. Yeah. And that's where usually it came in, where, for example, you look at optimization, or you do, or at least from what I knew and
like
what I knew back
asset
then.
management sometimes, or lighting even. Like sometimes it's level design even, or materials for the environment, right? It's just it's a janitor work. It's like a firefighter, if you may. You're just like putting down small fires. You're the glue that kept the project together.
Yeah.
Generalist.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah. And then like one of my teachers was basically saying like, well, do you give yourself sort of a elevator pitch, and based on that decide what you want to specialize in, because it was very vague, because I was like, I want to do environments with a bit of this and then a little bit of that sprinkled in. It's like that's not gonna be sticking with anyone in terms of like, who are we hiring you for actually?
Because it sounds like a scam, right? Like, hey guys, I can do everything. Really? Everything? Can you also clean the floor? Yes, I can do, right? And I always found it super difficult to be hired as a journalist. Like, wait for the door to open. Hey, we have an open role for a journalist till this day, right? I feel like journalists they shine the most when they don't wait for the door to open, but build the house. because we're like builders, right? We work best if we are working on a prototype together with a team, right? And we're meant to be the builders, not like someone that waits and is like, oh, is there a job opening? Unless, like you said, you can package it in a way. And the best way for me, and I guess it's also the case for you, were visual effects, because it touches on every aspect, like mesh modeling, check, proceduralism, check, textures, check, right? It touches on every point.
Yeah. And that's sort of only the angle I was going for, because it sort of harkens back to, I was thinking back to sort of own personal experience that I had, kind of the best memories, for example, just sitting around a campfire or visiting. We also went to like camper friend trips, like around Europe, and then we almost always visited some like mountain side or like waterfalls, and like
Nice.
some like very fun memories of that. And it was like, given that I've enjoyed doing the VFX part the most during all the different things I've enjoyed, this is going to be what I'm going to do next.
Nice.
And that's what and given the fact that it's still the case that I can still explore all these different aspects in whichever way I want.
Which year is this now
perfect.
from the university? Oh, okay, first of all, how many years do you have to do in Breda? And also, when did you discover, like, which year was it where you were like, all right, visual effects is the thing?
Yeah. So it's also a 4-year program. And then around like a quarter into my third year is where I kind of like switched that direction, essentially. There was one other friend there that was also interested in that, and that's basically became the case that only me and him were the only ones interested in that. And then it was, I think, at least out of 200 people.
Wow.
So
okay, so third year, you're basically telling your mentors as well, right? You're announcing it that you want to do this. How was the focus within that year in terms of education? How would you say, all right, here's the question reformulated. How much did you find yourself looking for resources out of the university versus resources you've learned in the university?
I think it is especially, what's the case that essentially was just doing it on, essentially doing it on the job type of thing. But I think most of the actual things I've learned was outside of it, because there was some basic things from it, and I was there's also some basically lots of other disciplines I could already tap into, because I've already had so many I was diverting into so many sort of avenues and wanting to know how this kind of works. And that was kind of sort of the foundation there, but I definitely learned the most from outside sources, essentially.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That is very interesting for me to hear, because like it seems that visual effects is such a niche thing that universities kind of need, or maybe at that time, maybe they have a better programmer now. They need to kind of catch up to it, and it's also so evolving. And if you're not working in a company, it's also very different between engine to engine, right? Like there's workflows here that are different than there. It's very niche. What would you say, like the resource? All right, now let's talk about the resources that you got from online. How were you like? What was your go-to? Like asking people, or?
I think the most like the first one I've discovered was from Luos, from Yuri Vleer.
Never heard about that name.
Yes, like he's done he's done so many like things, like still. And like, but especially back when I was starting out, that's the person I've learned the most from in the beginning. And then there was also well, at least a couple of things from InView effects, I think, and from, I think, also the somewhat of the DVDs that were available. I think also Overdraw XYZ had, I think, some of them. And yeah, I think there was also, at least when the marketplace opened, there was just some packs that I bought from there. And then, yeah.
You kind of like backward engineered it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I believe from the Quake examples or the Paragon examples, that's also was a big help. Like when that got released for free to check out for everyone.
Wow. Okay. And you know, this is the thing of like having different generations of visual effects artists on the podcast, is that each generation had learned from giants, right? And I feel like I really want to interview more people from, you know, your generation, which is like, I'm not saying you're old or anything. I'm just saying that at least where I come from, like I learned from Gabriel Laguerre, right? You go on YouTube, you search VFX, and you know Gabriel Laguerre is here. But it was a bit different for you, right? You had to maybe dig more into terminology to get to what you want to do, right?
Yeah. But how did it actually go? Because I think it was, I think in the sense of the application, it was in a very small amount on like the group project themselves. Like, because it was basically all of everything there as well. So in the first, like in the first group project, it was essentially the case that I did only 2D effects for that.
Okay.
And in the third, like in the one after that, it was like a bit of everything, but it was just a little bit of VFX, and like slowly started to apply like within it. And then like eventually it was the case that the biggest group project I was on was around 35 people when it was at its high point. And also like, given there was so many more like different types of applications that I was able to sort of like explore.
Yeah.
So I was on there for like half a year, give or take. Yeah, I think it also gave some sense of how do you say it? Like a sort of a foundation to build off out from, so to speak.
Yeah.
And like eventually it was the case that like when we had to go for our internships, yeah, given I was like, I'm just going to study further until I get better and learn something there, because I wasn't totally not confident at all at my what I had back then. But given there was at least a foundation from the group project that I had, well, it was at least something to build out from.
Yeah.
Like eventually, I also took, well, before that, I took a like a semester or at least half a year where I was took an exchange program to Houwest in Belgium for like half a year. And from there, it was essentially the case that the guy that I was there was also interest in VFX.
Yeah.
He was basically telling me, "Oh, I have an internship at Access Studios. Are you maybe also interested in that?" And I'm like, "Sure," but I was not. I was totally not expecting to get it, to get it all, but they took a chance on me, and that's what to him, I owe so much to him for suggesting it to me, and also for them to give me that chance. And then and that was an Access Studios was in Glasgow. Like sadly, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
but yeah, moved moved there after the the exchange program. And they were my friend there said, what we're gonna make. Gears 5. Okay.
Okay.
That's my first one.
Yeah.
And then
It's a big project.
yeah.
Wow.
And it was like so good. It was for I think over a year plus. We were working on that and mostly focused ourselves on cinematics or the real-time cutscenes, essentially.
Hell yeah.
Like the biggest thing is that my friend had like the more of the technical edge, and I had like he was sort of basically saying I had like a sort of a good eye for more of the artistic side of things.
Cool.
And yeah, that's and I was also working with Urban Burdesco at the time. And yeah, worked with him on that for also basically the entire time. And
for people who don't know the person you just mentioned, how would you describe them?
Yeah, if you see him around as on Double Jump, he's the founder of that. Was also the co-founder of Rebelway. Yeah. If you've seen his tutorials around, like for example the.
So you're talking about Carbon or?
Oh, Urban.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Of course. I know Urban. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. And yeah, it was basically the case that there's like so much. There's also another Dutch guy there, and and basically because of that, there was so many like interdisciplinary people there, and also we were working it more from the angle of the cinematics. There was so much more, different like viewpoints I got, and also got to learn the more technical things, and just sort of churn my way through that. And yeah, it was also after the project was done, I was then like granted the opportunity to work on the Tales of Runeterra for I think for the two sort of two seasons that were out. Had also the absolute privilege of like sitting next to like my mentor then. That was absolutely so cool. Amazing. Alan McEachern, if I say his name correctly, and he's has been very, very patient with me, and also learned a lot from him as well. And I got to do that. And then there was also another short project where I was on the Guild Wars 2 trailer for, I'm not sure which one it was again on the top of my head, but that was like another thing where it was mostly Houdini based, and then another guy again with like, oh, this is, like I'm owing so much to him for helping me through that.
So how would you say you're learning? Like, can you walk us through like a scenario where you were lacking the maybe technical knowledge on something, and because I think a lot of people have to navigate those things and they don't have the know-how, and I think it's worth it to just talk about it.
Yeah, I think the motto is, given I've never tried it, I'm like, why not? What do I have to lose? And that's how I sort of always went about it, but also knowing, I clearly have some absolute stingers of things I know that I'm not good at all. Eventually I would hope to get better at that, but it's I must know my limits somewhere. But but the biggest one is always the sort of the getting really stubborn about, like, I want to know how this works. And then I want to soak up as much information about it as possible until get like sort of a good foundation to start off from. But also kind of this is not always a good thing, because you get the analysis paralysis as well.
Okay.
You want to just soak up all the information and not start anything.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
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 So I still have that sort of to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
but it is, you can really get soaked up into that. Because for example, want to go and look at something I want to make next.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at all the inspiration that's out there, and you think, especially now, you see how much more exponentially better everyone has become,
Yeah.
and then you're like, do I even how am I even going to reach all these people's level
Mm-hmm.
at some point? But yeah, because in that sense, it can both be a good thing and a bad thing. Um, but I guess the biggest sort of inspiration in terms of how I would like to approach it is I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with Feng Zhu.
No.
Like he's basically has his own school and also does lots of talks in regarding to concept art
Uh-huh.
on YouTube. And I think the biggest one that stuck with me always is that the inspiration from nature, and also
Mm-hmm.
basically it's impossible to outdesign nature.
I like that.
And yeah, and basically go from that. And the angle is always, I think, from them, is that given that it's at least somewhat inspired by nature, then it's always at least something that the viewer on the other side can relate
Mm-hmm.
to a degree.
Because like you're talking about like sense of danger, things that the player should feel, right? Like scarcity or sense of danger or a sense of achievement. It's all boiled down to psychology of humans and where where does that feeling come from? And sometimes like the vibration of the ground means maybe there's something of massive energy nearby that exploded, right? So that is why we have something like screen shake. Screen shake does not come from games. Screen shake comes from reality, right? Because when you're even in a movie, right, it's also inspired from nature. I feel like the new wave of visual effects artists are a little bit going away from that. Um, there's a bit of worshipping that is happening to like the League of Legends PDF that is out there. There's a lot of like usage to that as if it was a Bible, and for me, when I look at it, I just see a way for them to make onboarding easier for them. But there's literally people who are looking at it page by page, literally worshiping their like wrong and rights, right? Which is just completely and utterly limiting. I don't want to say stupid or anything, it's just limiting. You're basically learning a habit that they want to hire you for, or makes you more hireable. But the problem is, the moment you're asked to do anything else, which requires you to maybe treat opacity a bit differently, or treat artistically, right, in an art direction in a different way, you're just completely, in this habit and you can't change it. All the shaders you learned is to serve that one purpose. Your
Yeah,
flexibility is just gone.
yeah. Like I must say that I also still like draw some inspiration from that myself as well, and it's still a very good like document to view. But yeah, like you're saying, it's maybe indeed maybe given a bit taken as gospel. But what it's essentially showing is that like what it's fundamentally doing on in the context for their game, but it could mean something totally different from like for something else. But
Yeah.
it's not, I don't think, or at least it's taken more for what it's at face value. But
Face value, yeah.
I guess it's maybe, so the context for what it's fundamentally doing is maybe overlooked a little bit. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
because there is a specific reason why they chose to like tie specific like values to specific elements. And given it's such a hectic game, and they want to make sure that even though it's very like visually spectacular, it's still possible to still like follow along to some degree what it is you're looking at.
Yeah,
And
it's also like super narrow to think that this is visual effects. Like, yeah, I get it. You know, you should understand why they made the PDF to begin with. Like, don't mimic the outcome, mimic the phenomenon that led to the outcome itself, right? Once you mimic the phenomenon, then your outcome is you're operating on a way more flexible way. And I think thanks to my illustration background, right, like 2D background, again, concept art and stuff like that, I've learned this early on because I used to draw only anime and manga, and my mentor was like, you know that manga is inspired by actual anatomy and actual reality, and so focus on mastering that and then stylizing that reality, simplifying the shapes of that reality can make you a master of stylization. And right now, when we talk about stylization and visual effects, unfortunately, the conversation is stylized, non-stylized, semi-stylized, aka Korean, and that's it. We all talk about it as if we are like marketing agents, and we lose this connection to the craft itself. What is it? Like, let's go back to the art part. I feel like there's a lot of focus on the technicality, which I understand, right?
Yeah.
But people give it way more credit than they give to the artistic eye, because you can't show up to it, right? You can't show when you're having a job application. You can't show up the art part unless it's an art test.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it is a thing. Then still, also given sort of what I sort of mentioned in regards to how much cool stuff there is out there on ArtStation, Majorbox, it's then also kind of shown and as a sort of an influence as to what other people also like to make. And yeah, sort of on the grounds of like just because it looks cool, but there is to a degree where I'm like where, for example, the same people could, for example, say, how do I make something original? And then it becomes to gets to sort of the core question of like, what is it that you're going to, what is it that I'm going to be looking at? Well, like, what does it mean exactly? And then it becomes sort of very hard to justify, or like, I guess to some, let me say that again. It becomes very hard to justify the context for them.
I love that you said that.
Yeah, because it then, it's maybe to sort of circle back a little bit, because at the time when I was working at Axis, like Urban approached me to maybe say like, hey, do you want to maybe make something for Rebelway? I'm like, oh, since we are actually looking for some like real time things to show off. And it's like, I haven't done this before. Let's do it.
Cool.
This all like a new experience, and even though it was also the given the fact that I not the best, or do not like to speak as much and stuff. Yeah, given the at least it was just very like also somewhat scary, and getting the maybe sort of the start of the more exposure to that. And it did me so in the end did me so much good.
How so?
And based on that, it was the case that like after that was finished, like around the time.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I asked how so did it do you so good?
Well, it was the like all the experience that sort of what it brought me as to how you even structure a course like that, and like on the you need the recording process, and like figuring out indeed the whole pace of your own way of conveying things in real time as well. Yeah, even though like I did two of them. There was the first one where Like I made the content, but Urban was the one who recorded them. And then the second one, it was sort of a split between myself and Lush. Like he's basically an artist now who is has his own basically teaching platform for, I think, mostly Unity based, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Called,
Okay.
yeah, like called VFECTS, VFX.
Ah, yep.
Yeah. Basically was working with him on that. So it's basically like a 50-50 split. And then it was also the case that you also had to do some mentoring there. I was also doing that with someone else as well. And I think around the time where VFX Apprentice was announced, so you could sort of join in. Yeah, that's what I bought the course, but never really did anything with it. But like eventually it was the case where I just sat in on like calls and just tried to help out with people. And yeah, the interest was mostly there for like what are students right now sort of dealing with, and maybe there's some help I could somewhat provide. And I think, and yeah, from there also I guess the question came from Jason Kaiser, the one who is the owner of VFX Apprentice, and then especially I was approached by him to select, do you want to maybe also mentor for our course or do something for us? And yeah, at first it was the case that I did make something for them, but yeah, to some unforeseen circumstances that didn't fully pan out. But eventually it did shift more into the current what's currently going on. You have a couple of boot camps, the beginner, and you have a portfolio boot camp. And usually I'm it switches a bit, but usually I want to try and be there for the portfolio boot camp, and that's what I'm also currently doing at the moment.
Super cool.
So yeah.
So you're kind of like paved the way for effects, or you were there in the very early on where courses were teaching visual effects for games, of course. What drove that? Were there any frustrations for you in the online education genre, or did you feel like nothing existed?
In terms of me creating, or more sort of joining in on the teaching side of things?
You joining in, and before that too. I think both perspectives are valuable.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for the first course or at least the courses for Rebelway were, it's mostly was about the just things that I haven't tried before and just want to like try that out. And that was kind of the main thing. And see if there's also something that I can help out with. But then indeed on the VFX Apprentice side of things, it was really indeed about helping people with as many questions as I could, at least to the best of my abilities. Seeing if there's perspectives I can provide, and also, it goes both ways, right? Because there's also so many things to learn from students, as well as to maybe questions you haven't thought about, or maybe you haven't had to think about for a long time. Because it could be the case that it might in hindsight be very simple, but it's like, I haven't thought about this. Let me let me figure this out.
Yeah. And so how do you feel like the state of the online education is right now for self-learners, not for people who go to universities, right? Do you think it's sufficient enough?
like I would say, almost say in comparison to 5 years ago, there's so like so much right now. Yeah,
Mm.
so many more courses. Also, um, for group, also special programs that are also have like dedicated VFX artists, like like courses in that sense. Because I do know, like like right now at BUAS, they are running a specific, like essentially they are splitting sort of people up in their own sort of disciplinary houses, if you will, so to
Mm-hmm,
speak.
mm-hmm.
And there's also one for VFX at BUAS right now, and that's being led by also a friend of mine who is currently teaching there now.
Wow.
And yeah, I think it's starting to definitely, it has matured a lot, but I think, uh, there's still like a lot that is, that's left to be done, I think still.
What is there left to be done for you?
Well, at least for my personal mission, I would say that there is, I would get sort of back into like peeling away the shiny layers and go back to the fundamentals, and try to hopefully get across sort of the feeling that you look at it more from a place of understanding,
Mm-hmm.
where they can also then explain the choices the students are going to make. Because if you can explain it well, you also understand it well. At least that's how
True.
that I would think. And it's also way more applicable to like a very like a broader sense of topics. Because
Mm.
in the sense of like there is so much really good work being done out there, but I think it should be more taken at an angle of why it is that you made these choices, and what it is you're fundamentally doing. Because you could it could sort of more easily run into the trap of like, we shall now make campfire, I now make campfire, so I can apply this to campfire related things right now. Or I think I also fell into sort of the trap of like, okay, how do I make explosion?
Mm.
But yeah, very
And
understandable, of course, and maybe sort of the way it is right now. It's like, where do I even start looking?
exactly. And where
Um,
are they meeting me at my level or not? Right? That's the question too.
yeah, yeah. I think it's more, I guess, right now to a point where you sort of have the way, I guess, sort of the whole technical side or the basics as to like how you make this or do this, that has expanded a lot, but I would almost make it more so that you are now becoming your own personal tastemaker of what it is you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would almost say that it also partly comes from some, some self knowledge in that regard, as to that it is what it is, what is it that drives you, and
Mm.
is it really the case that you have to well, there are of course the things that are needed from the industry itself, but what is it that drives you personally that makes you want to continue this for, possibly the rest of your life?
Mm.
And that also makes it so that it's also a lot easier to learn, because it's not like coming from a place of that, and like that you yeah, it's not going to be fun. Like from the place of the interest that you really like, then I think it's going to be like a lot more fun for you as well, even though there are always these, you have to take these bumps as well, but it's you're willing to have like a lot higher patience for that. I feel when you sort of do it from sort of that angle.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that there's no separation of the individual disciplines that we have to do or have to master of the job, and the most lacking of that, um, it can be felt. There's a lot of assuming of common sense for beginners, and we all come from different disciplines. Like some of us come from pure 2D animations, right? Others come from pixel art. The others come from computer science, right?
Yeah.
We're not equal. Let's just keep it like that. And to create equality without boring anybody with tons of information, you need to separate them. Like you need to separate the sectors, let's say, right? The fundamentals. You need to have an online school that is teaching just like a university would do or a school would do, saying, here are the topics for the art foundations. You know, you get that 1 hour a day. It even creates you a structure. Like that's my ideal school, right? If I would make an online school, I would do it like this. I would separate the topics, art foundation, then you would go into coding foundations. You would make a silly space shooter, right? Just so you understand how do you trigger an effect. You make a muzzle effect, the trail, then the hit effect. If you master these 3 things in Unity, you can already implement your effect, right? Those things are not taught. I don't feel like they're taught unless you're maybe doing that space shooter game on a Udemy course or whatever, right? But how do you know that you should know that, and how it's just too scattered at the moment?
Yeah.
The third thing in VFX Foundation is like shaders, the graphs, the Niagara systems. Like what are attributes? Like get technical, right? Like explain the nitty-gritty, like each and every node and what it does in a documentation level, right? But without reading the documentation, because the documentations are made by engineers to be read by engineers. So as a self-learner, if you did not go through software engineering or computer science, I can tell you from personal experience, engine documentation at the beginning is total jargon. No idea what's going on when you're just starting with them. I feel like you had experience with that as well.
Yeah, so many basically, let's say, similar things being called totally different names by different people.
Yep.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And that's was, I guess, the biggest sort of thing that was, very hard to navigate sort of myself around. But yeah. I guess the biggest one is indeed like it could also be scattered, but also you want to make it too broad where, to I guess to a certain extent the schools have these sort of requirements that you have to make it measurable as to what the things are they have improved in. So they have to make it very they are sort of constrained by having to make it somewhat broad so they can make it measurable. But yeah, it's like, given that you mentioned that, it's probably can also make it very difficult to then indeed make a curriculum for the individual person where their sort of interests lie. But
yeah, it's also as a self-learner going about learning visual effects, you have to make your own philosophy. Like for me, it's mainly like playing Elden Ring. You have your stats, right? Instead of like magic or intelligence, I literally categorize things like art fundamentals, technical, right? And I would not be able to make a certain effect unless I've reached a certain level. And I literally put bosses for myself. Like, all right, so this project now is the boss of technical difficulties, right? And how to manage that. I just make those little small experiments, backward engineering maybe a couple of effects that I've acquired from the asset store, and I just never show them. I know that I conquered it. I know if I would have a task of that direction, I would know where to start. I would know, like, I covered the ground a little bit. Maybe I didn't win the battle like to a level where I can show it, but I've practiced the craft, so I could, if the task is asking me to do it, I feel like I've practiced enough, because I look at it like training, like martial arts a little bit as well.
Yeah,
that's how I keep it motivating for myself.
Yeah, and that's good that you mentioned that, because it's like the best way to also then get into maybe your personal favorite game or studio's head as to what type of choices would they have made to get to the same results. And it could also be like a very good assignment for yourself, where, for example, you have a boss or an area that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Like, what would, for example, would you have to do in order for me to make that fit within the exact confines and limitations of the game? You've set it in, and that's already so like a lot easier to then sort of narrow down as, okay, what do I want to make? Because it's essentially this sort of like ghost brief for yourself almost, where you then you can already know what sort of foundation you can sort of work off. Given I would assume that given that something you're interested in, it's a lot easier to know more about it, and it's also like a lot easier to then look into it further, or maybe it's naturally that you've already looked into it further.
I think it is natural. I think as well that if you keep following what you're interested in, you're magnifying a problem that already exists. Like, you should get out of the comfort zone every now and then. Like, one thing I'm doing on the weekend right now is dabbling into like making a box render by using plain language, like OpenGL. That's it, right? By just doing that, I'm understanding all right, so what goes in a real-time engine in terms of rendering? Like, what takes a 3D thing and prints it as a 2D thing on the screen? What are the processes?
Yeah.
And going by that on my own, right? Nothing to show. I don't want to show anything. It's just for my own experiment. And it's something I'm not interested in because I have not discovered it to be interested in or not interested in, right? I was indifferent about it. So I think areas that you feel indifferent about, that probably can like advance your knowledge about something, or things that you're taking for granted, like engines make things render. All right, but how is that done anyway, right? Like, let's go back. Let's maybe make a little experiment where we're doing that on our own by using plain language, just to understand like what goes into making a wheel. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're kind of understanding, all right, so what goes into making a wheel, so when it breaks, I know kind of like, all right, where the problem lays. Things like that.
But given it's not really something you were kind of still feeling indifferent about. Is it still tying into something that is then? Is it still tying into something that fits within your grander vision, as to basically a thing that is something you're interested in, or?
Well, here's the idea I'm married to. I would like to be the person that understands an HLSL code by glancing over it, right? I don't want to be the person like within the grand vision. Yes, it fits, right? I want to understand what a buffer is, right? Like, I just am genuinely curious about it. But the moment I start reading more about it, and it's all this technical jargon, like engineers just throwing mathematical equation at your face, and you're like, listen, I did not pay attention in mathematics class, so I need to do this on my own. And then when you do it on your own, say you follow like a 15-minute video, you're like, oh, so this is what this mathematical equation means. And like, I feel like a lot of stuff are meant for people who went and studied in university for 5 years about a certain topic in computer science, blah, blah, blah. But then just go and do it. The most basic form of it. Just go ahead and do it. And by exploring that thing that you felt indifferent about, you start realizing, okay, what you enjoy in it, what you hated in it, and what you really enjoyed in it, and where to explore that further.
Yeah, that makes a good point, because it's indeed the sort of the exposure to all these different types of topics, as well as to where, for example, maybe sort of to give an example, maybe for the effects realm, I would, if you can call it that, it could, for example, be the case that you might not even be all that interested in what color psychology means for your effects, but it can, for example, give a good understanding as to what it is they sort of psychologically convey to the player, for example, or is it then and where, like, which colors do they fit with? It could, for example, just be like, okay, you pick a color palette that looks good, and then that's it. But sort of to go beyond that, it's then maybe it's like, maybe it's not that interesting. Maybe you can sort of get by this, but I think it's always a good thing to go deeper into that, as to given it's the effects can just tie into so many different other disciplines as well, as to, for example, saying of you are sort of at the end of the line, like making like the sprinkling the magic dust over, like basically at the end. But it could, for example, be the case that it is then like giving you sort of a visual cue of, okay, is the area of effect that is that's being set by gameplay also, is that being the same as the area of effect of the effect itself, that's being conveyed as, oh, this area is the thing that does damage, or is it the case that it's still like for example, a very bright yellow effect, is it going to work in a sandy environment? Is the way the if one explosion is being applied 100 times, is it not going to be like causing like difficulties with people who have like light sensitivity issues, for example?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
all these
all things like in a way you need to check your own biases, because like I'm a huge believer of thinking like you are your worst enemy. So you need to put a mechanism to check yourself. Like, all right, so why am I not interested in that section of effects, right? And sometimes it's, I don't get it, I don't understand it, right? Or you just start putting labels on yourself. I'm not that technical. I'm stupid, right? Or whatever, right? Or when technical people put themselves in a box, they're like, this whole artsy fartsy stuff, they're up in the air. I don't get it. I need numbers and logic and whatever. And it's like, it could also be logical. Art is actually quite logical. Like if you look into a book like How to Train the Right Side of the Brain, or How to Draw from the Right Side of the Brain, the way it goes and logically explains to you, like, because I was never a creative person, like by nature, like born talented, I can draw everything, right? I had to understand what goes into it, and just that perspective makes me understand. Like, one of the main perspectives is like to treat each painting as a sculpture, right? So if you're drawing a person, you draw the envelope of that person in relation to the main picture. So if the character is standing here and the picture is that wide, then you just draw the box. And then you start literally drawing the lines, like you start like literally like sculpting the shapes, the main shapes. So you make the envelope, the stroke of the person, and then you start adding details. That's one of the, I think, 12 methods to draw. Like, there's so many ways to draw something. But once you nail the silhouette and the proportion of the silhouette, that's a practice on its own. It opened this door for me of like how people think when they're drawing. I'm like, oh my God, logically, this is genius, right? And it's those things that people, I feel like when we don't meet ourselves in the middle, like, when there's like a bit of superiority in the craft, like, I'm an artist. When I'm asked how I do my art, I just say, get good, right? Or it's common sense how to be an artist. Or same thing with the tech, right? When there's a new artist, maybe accessing to the Git repository, and they don't understand quite how it gets, then there's this little superiority of like, ooh, he doesn't understand Git, ooh, shit, that person is not, why did we hire this guy, right? And stuff like that. This will get no one anywhere, right? It's like language learning a little bit. Like, I had to learn German from scratch, and I can tell you, every time I talk to a German person and I choose the wrong article from 3 plus all the Fälle, and they look at me weird, I'm like, you don't want me to learn, right? Like, if you look at me weird, I'm not being rewarded for trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. And I feel like artists need to have that perspective more of like, okay, not everybody understands what you're doing. Maybe try to boil it down of what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, and the thing in that sense is also, given it's just a team sport in general, but it's also you're essentially making it for the team of the people who don't know you, who's on the other side of the screen, and then assume that it is that that the understanding you have of the subject also is being conveyed to the best of your abilities to someone who doesn't know you, and yeah, on the other side of the screen. And there's also all the different other factors to take into account. That it could, for example, be the case that it has maybe some, like, red could, for example, have another connotation in one culture versus the other. Let's say one can maybe handle much more visual like inputs versus someone else. Let's say, even though you think you might something look right for its subject, it might not fit in the context of the game, or that it is then, for example, totally obscuring, let's say, the view, which then impedes the enjoyment of the player experience overall. Yeah, it's in the end you do it for you do it for them.
Yeah, but this made me kind of think about like the imposter syndrome, right? Like, a lot of people think about it as a negative thing, but sometimes I could tell you, like, feeling like you're nothing special, right? You're on the journey, you're modest, right? You're like, what am I doing in this room? Can sometimes help you with those things. Because if you're thinking, oh, I know it all, I'm superior to all you all, right? I know what goes into effects. I read the the League of Legends documentation. I have it saved in the back of my head. You don't get to tell me what effects are, art director, right? I tell you what effects are. So I think if you have that in your mind, you're less likely to feel this empathy connection or be prone to take feedback as a face value, right? Like, all right, this is not my effect. I need to do this for a project. I'm gonna listen to the feedback. I will not use transparency in this effect. Maybe I'm wrong. That type of deal, right? Or I don't know how to do this, but you know what? I'm open to learn it. This is all hireability, like, things. I feel like it determines how hireable you are.
Yeah. I guess to also point that I think it's always good to and that's also a good thing in general, to have like as many perspectives as possible. But it's also a sort of a somewhat of a skill as well, as to how you can synthesize that into what is then sort of true for yourself. That's all. That could somewhat also be somewhat of a skill to what degree. For example, one says something else and one says something different, but what would, for example, a solution look like that's in the middle of those two things?
Yeah, because like everything people say are not always 100% correct. Like, even when you're getting feedback, let's say the feedback was, this is not good, right? If you have imposter syndrome, like, and it's stronger than any other, emotions, if you may, you might just take it as it is, and you're like, this is not good. I'm gonna work harder. I'm gonna make it good. But the solution of someone telling you this is not good is like, okay, what is not working? Let's get more details. Let's extract some more of what is not. Maybe the art director is just having a shitty day, right? Like, all of those factors that goes into it. So you try to extract more information from them. Like, all right, is it the color? Is it the timing? Is it the shape? Can you sketch me something quick so I can get your idea? Should we have a meeting? All those things, right? No one teaches you. You're making a course? Huh. Cool. You did all the courses in the world? No one is teaching you those soft skills that
Yeah.
are, again, between quotes, common sense, which is not. I'm so allergic to the word common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I must say that I haven't had this happen before to that degree, but yeah, I think in general it's then maybe just for the person sort of watching. Could, for example, be the case where one might feel that the feedback given to you given it's such a personal project, it's then directed as you as a person, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's no.
Yeah.
Um, could then, for example, be the case that it's like, oh, oh, this hurts. But yeah, this is if it's something that if they come from a place of feedback or wanting to help, it's never going to be the case that it is like directed at you, the person. So
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes feedback is great and you just can't work on it time wise. So it's also difficult in terms of like production. Like that's scenario I went through a lot where it's like the artist is giving me feedback and I'm basically going to the producer and be like, hey, do you want me like, because that will take me another week, right? And they were like, I'll talk to them, right? And sure enough, either it's a compromise that we have to do, but it is what it is. Like, it's just pure business. Like, hey, we have a budget. We're all professionals. We're all working. Like,
yeah,
even if someone is not having a good day, it's just part of being a human that you're working with a human, which soon I hope won't change.
yeah,
In a way. Yeah.
yeah. It could definitely be like a very much a split between like the work, like the work mode and the personal mode. That too. Yeah.
How's it like working for Tuatara?
Yeah, I cannot imagine a better place.
Oh.
It's been perfect for me. It's
Nice.
There's so much expertise. There's so much things, so much project you're able to work on. Yeah,
It's so cool.
yeah, nothing but good things to say. It's yeah. That's yeah.
It sounds like the dream for an effects artist, honestly. Like it's definitely one of my goals in the future to apply and give it a go. Because like every person I asked, hey, how's it like? And they've always been like, yeah, I get to work on different projects, I get to learn more, right? All those things, which I think every visual effects artist wants to achieve. Get
Yeah.
paid, learn, earn, do the craft, and all those. Just like be balanced, like well balanced. I feel like there's a really good balance in that company or that studio.
Yeah, and I think in general as well, where I think especially now, and everyone deserves their own cool place to work at, and that it should not specifically come from like the places with high prestige. I would just say, if you can find your people, then
Yep.
I think that is all you can really ask for. Because then that is so much more better in the end, I would say. Because the overall feeling is that you just make cool stuff with cool people, and I think that in the end that matters so much more than the rest, I would say.
In which way is it more?
It's just fulfilling as a person, I would say. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think we covered all the points. Is there anything else you would like to still talk about?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we're talking about like what sort of. Yeah, I think. Well, actually, go back. I think because I've watched the podcast a lot of times before, and you're basically mentioning just things that you would like to see that courses do differently. Like, could you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, we covered it a little bit, right? I feel like so my general beef with like self-learning at the moment is the concept of a portfolio. Because in a portfolio, you can't show other than, a really nice piece that you've done on your own, right? You went through the thought process and everything. And I'm talking about personal projects. I'm not talking about projects that you worked on. Those are, of course, amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel like the flaw is the idea of like, the person with the best portfolio gets forward, because what guarantees me that this piece didn't take you a year to do, right? No one can tell me that. I can't ask anybody. There's no reference. I'm just taking it as a face value, right? Like from the perspective of the hiring. What could be better is maybe an online school that, like we discussed before, separates the topics. So if you are more technical, you could learn more about the artistic part and vice versa. But also, in kind of a CGMA way, rest in peace CGMA, sign up to a course of a specific topic, which CGMA used to do, which is like texturing or stylized environment, or semi-stylized effects, whatever it is, right? You sign up to this course. There's a certain time, 8 weeks, 20 weeks. There's a certain amount of people that are joining that course. And not only they're joining that course and each one get to do it on their own, but now you have a producer and they're all working together on one big project, like a production would do, right? Yeah. When you do that and you have a result that you could show and say like, hey, I worked with a team of programmers, we simulated this game, whatever it is the project you want to do, then you could show that in your portfolio. You could say it took me so and so time, I worked with so person. That means as a hiring person, I can go to those people and ask, hey, how was it working for Jack or with Jack? And they were like, hey, Jack is great, right? You could totally work with that guy, or not, whatever it is. I feel that's my main beef, right? It's just the scattering of information. When you ask someone, hey, how to become a visual effects artist, each person gives you PDF here, and then they give you like random tutorials on YouTube, and then one person gives you like a optimization book in Unity and whatever. It's just so scattered. It's basically, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a delicate balance that needs to be found somewhat as to how you can then package this maybe to a degree abstract topics into a also visually appealing format, so to speak.
Well, go back to the basics, right? Games. We make what? We make games, right? So the visuals can be anything, dude, from 10-bit to 8-bit to whatever, right? Like let's make a God of War. Like we have all the tools in our disposal from Game Maker, Unity, Unreal. Bring in the experts, pay them with what people are signing up for, make them all make one project. Now it could be topic specific. It could also be just season specific. Like I'm going to call the school the Guild, okay? The Guild winter season. You just sign up, you make a game. And the game can be scaled as much as people signed up to, right? That's the budget of the game. And if it fails, it fails, right? Who gives a damn, right? And you could even make a structure of a contract where it says like each person who worked on this game gets so and so share, right? It's even motivating them even more to put in more effort. But it guarantees that first time experience, right? You pay 500 euros, whatever it is, to land a 20-week long game jam with professionals that are going to teach you. And maybe from out of the 50 students, 10 will really, really shine. Then you take those 10 and you make them join the guild. Like illustrators used to actually learn that way. There's a master who is a senior artist, right? Who gets like 20, 30 jobs a year. Alone, they can maybe accept 3, 4. But now with a guild, with people who are really talented and like skillful, they say, all right, I'm going to take the 30. I'll make the junior mid-level work for me. I'll give them a share. And this way, everybody makes money, everybody learns, everybody evolves. That's the thing I really want to have.
Yeah, essentially just a larger scale apprenticeship type setup.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'm not going to be speaking for anyone
Of course.
in the space right now, but I think it's a big one, just simply finding the people who would have the time
Yeah.
besides the normal day job, I guess.
So my thing is, there's a lot of layoffs, right? Everybody's looking for work. Everybody's like, if people are not hiring, then come here. Let's teach, and we're gonna give you this share of this project, right? We're gonna do this season, the winter season. Would you like to join? Depending on how many people sign up and show interest, you can have an environment artist, a senior environment artist that may be struggling to find a job, and you can accommodate too, right? You could say, hey, we just need 1 hour on Friday from you, and another artist says, hey, I'm fully available full time, and we're like, awesome, right? We're gonna make a project that is heavy on effects because you are available, or vice versa, right? Like you need to be so flexible about this. I know it's a production nightmare, but that's the whole point, is that it was never done before. It's out of the box thinking. I'm so motivated about this stuff. I hope no one steals the idea. Oh, you know what? If you steal the idea, go for it. I want it to exist anyway.
We're going to sign up maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess to that degree is then, where I'm just kind of thinking like, where does then the line sort of lie in between mentorships and then the sort of the actual like teacher accreditation needs, so to speak, for more sort of the legal frameworks? To what degree would such a program need to be seen as a school? And if that's the case, then do all the people need maybe specific teacher like accreditations that are like law compatible?
I think the idea the idea existed, right? It's a collaborative workshop. It's nothing more. It's an online collaborative workshop where you're not like adhering to a certain mentor or whatever. You kind of are all working together, emulating the working environment with professionals. That's the only spin on it. It's basically university group projects for people who can't go to university, plus the ability to work with seniors on the team, right? Which I think universities miss because you're only working with your peers, which could lead to problems. And also, the factor that you paid for this makes you more committed, as in supposed to be like, I need to go to university to get a degree because my dad really wants me to have a degree. You will have those people on your team, and you're like, oh my God, they're just smoking and partying all night.
Yeah. Well, that's of course the risk, right? But do you maybe, for example, know as to how possible it is to set up such facilities and sort of the backbone in order to make that possible? Let's say maybe not exactly that you have to invest as much as a school to even get it started.
Yeah. So my idea is to partner up with a web developer. I'm not good at web development. I really want to partner up with the web developer, producer, and a really high senior artist. And my role is to be basically managing all the connections, managing all the marketing, because I want to participate in those workshops too. I want to document everything and share all of that in social media. I want to be that head, right, of the department, of that school. So I'm looking for a really senior artist, which, they all say, good idea, we love it, let us know when the website is live. And I'm like, damn it. So I need a web developer. I need a producer that will also be a partner with me. Yeah. And in that way, these people get the most shares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would it then be a project that is then intended for commercial release, or is it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's purely commercial, and I think the best way is to make it commercial, because any spin on this that says it's for free and we'll get to hire you one day is a cult. And I don't think that should be the reason here. It should be a business. It's CGMA, but collaborative work, and we get to make a project together. And it's commercial in the sense of like, if we suck, we will not get clients. And
Yeah.
I'm completely in line with that. I want to be held accountable in that sense, like commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it also becomes also somewhat of a, let's say, search for also this maybe specific people as well as to that maybe like it seems that there's maybe and the people who already have sort of the wanting to go indie or they already have the indie mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And also have the same philosophy of like what is wrong currently with online education, right?
Right.
If any of the founders or partners is not having that shared vision, I feel like it will fail, because the philosophy, it's very much founded on, hey, that's the problem, here's our solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. But yeah,
Yeah.
I wish it will exist one day.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it sounds really good. It sounds like also a really, really big challenge, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, but
So
it's like one of those challenges where you're like, when you said like you feel stubborn, you're like, I wonder how to make it work, or I wonder how it would work out, right?
Yeah, I'm going to need to think about this after
really
the
okay
podcast. Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
like I said, I'm open. If anybody's listening to this and is a, I don't know, web developer, like, hit me up, or producer. I already know a lot of producers, so I'll just hit them up once I found the other two founders, right? But I'm people tell me, hey, why don't you do this alone? And I'm like, I'm kind of not dumb enough or delusional enough to think that I can pull this off on my own.
Yeah, something of this scale is going to be
exactly
very hard. Yeah,
and it needs proper knowledge. Like I can do effects. I'm a VFX artist and I work on a lot of projects, the whole thing, right? But I'm not there yet to say I'm the best in this. I'll totally teach you, right? I don't feel like it's authentic. That's why I need that like partner, the first partner, to be like super knowledgeable in what they do. And if that's VFX, stylized environments, you name it, right? Whatever the sector is.
yeah.
I need that person to be there. That's like, what is it called? There's a word for authority, like experience authority.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This also, I think, that they probably also need something that's very, maybe also the person who is then more doing the business side of things, or that you also have at least some oversight on the production side of things, because
true.
Yeah,
there's like the exact numbers type of person. I know, like, for example, I wouldn't be able to do that. I would for sure have an accountant, right? Like, but I would be on the vision side. I would be in the creative side, on the creative end. I would be on the like business outreach, right? Like marketing, business outreach. That's really what I'm really like good at, and I'm aware enough to say, don't give me the numbers. I can maybe strike deals here and there, but like there should be a person, taking care of the stuff.
Yeah, also need thinking about the outreach and everything, and how you like promote it and market it and stuff like that, because all these all the other things that are so equally as important.
Absolutely. Listen, man, it's been really great to talk to you. I'm always happy to talk about this concept. I need to go. Food is ready. Anything you would still like to, maybe where people can find you, where can they reach out to you, stuff like that?
So usually the best way to to reach out to me is like adding me on Discord. Just say, if you, based on this, if you found me, then please feel free to do so, because there is also, of course, some nasty people out there. But my name is like, I'm called Mado on there, and I'm also you can also definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. And yeah, ArtStation on the same name. Yeah, that's usually the usual channels. And yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start a new segment on this podcast. What is a question you would like to give to the next guest?
A question that I would like to give to the next guest. Oof. Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, it's maybe very broad, but I'm almost saying like, where do you personally would like to see the game industry in 5 years?
All right, where would you personally see the games industry in 5 years? All right, I noted down. Thank you so much for attending and for being on here. I could see you as a guest that I could have on multiple episodes. This has been amazing. It's hard to top. I'll just pivot to the viewers and say thank you all for watching and for supporting the podcast, and for all the 4 members that already joined the YouTube membership, I guess. I don't know what it's called. So thank you a lot for supporting the podcast financially. You already are paying for all the storage I use and a couple of subscriptions, so I thank you for that. And listen, everybody, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.